Again, we have to talk about Tzimtzumim because we first introduced that. The line begins shê-hu ato, about 8 lines from the bottom on page Kuf Nun Daled.
shê-hu.
shê-hu ato, yeah. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, we have identified 2 stages in the Hisavos. First of all, there was a Rotzen, that there should be a Gilui over the Kus. And this machshava, this thought that there should be a Gilui over the Kus, that created, by virtue of machshava itself, it created the entire phenomenon of creation. Bekoyach. And we already discussed Bekoyach. Bekoyach does not any potential. Bekoyach means in actual at the Koyach level.
Facilitation.
Huh?
Facilitated.
Facilitate. This is, okay. And then again, we discussed this to the extent possible. There has to be, even on a human level, a simple human activity, action. A person does not, even though he's doing a physical thing. There's a carpenter, he's banging in a nail. There must be, in order for him to be able to bang in the nail, there has to be a sense of a broader reality. What is this all about? What is all activity about? A nail of walking. We do not function in a vacuum. We do not function in nothingness. There's a life embracing us, top to the bottom, from the thought, from the belief, from the sense of reality, from life, all the way to the action, to walking in the feet, on our feet. There's a life element. This life element is the presence of the divine will that there should be a creation, there should be a world. We do not realize in our common thinking to what extent we are conscious of the divine presence. To what extent we are conscious that our world, the world itself is a divine miracle. We don't question it. It's infinity itself. It doesn't have to be held up, buttressed, or strength. It lives on its own reality. This will, the divine machshava, that gives the world a presence. This is where we're up to now. This gives the world a presence on the Bekoyach, Bekoyach means gives it a sense of being, and all the way down to the poil, to the lowest level of poil. All the way down to the point that this becomes a simple worldly presence, a physical presence. To the extent that we struggle with in our seichel. What is a table? A table is a table, something that was created in human sense, in human value. Or is a table just a few boards banged together and it looks like a table? In the world itself does not possess the spirit of a table. The spirit of a table is a divine spirit, and a human being has it in his mind. The world itself, as it appears to be, as the world presents itself, is a table is the result. You don't make a table. You put planks together, and it results into a table. This is what I mentioned the other day, that Henry Ford created the
assembly line.
The assembly line, where you put in people along the line, put in different screws. The car is just the result of it. This is how the world, the physical world, appears to me. Again, I said it appears to be. In reality, however, there is a divine will, machshava, that the physical world should be a comprehensive world. Comprehensive means all-inclusive. Everything possible that can be brought out from the world is contained in the world by this machshava. And thus, anything that a human being invents, new invention, a chariot, a wagon for that gets pulled by horses. I don't know if you know that the original cars were called what?
Horseless carriage.
Horseless carriage. What's a carriage? That was a big invention, a carriage. A box with walls, with wheels that roll smoothly across the land. That was a great invention. You know who invented a circle, a wheel?
Noach.
Noach. Goes all the way down to Noach. That's why it's called Noach. He made life easier in the world. He came in and he used his seichel and said, let's make a wheel. Not to pull it, and that opened up the entire development up to this today.
To haul all the wood.
To me?
To haul all the wood to make the ark. Yeah, you probably did need
I missed what you said.
to make the ark, and he had to haul all the wood.
Oh, yeah.
He probably needed.
Well, they took him.
It's a necessity.
Could have used a pickup truck.
Great.
All right. Everything that a human being invents from scratch is already contained in the divine thought of the creation of the world. We don't realize, I explained the other day, it is important for us to focus in. A complete and a comprehensive world must have villages, must have cities, Let's have roadways to go from one city to the other. Must have rivers and lakes and creeks. These are not add-ons that develop it. This is the concept of the world. This all the reality that goes into making a world was originally projected and thought of by the creator of the world, RASHAB. And from this, it was revealed and developed by the human being. And now we're talking about the final, what's called Makir Patish. There's a malacha among the malachas Shabbos. There's a called Makir Patish.
What is that?
It means banging with a hammer. It's an interesting concept. Anybody know what the Makir Patish like this? The way it's explained, Makir Patish is that a carpenter, a shoemaker, who puts together shoes and he bangs all kinds of nails and something. The very last moment before he takes the shoe of the stands, he gives a bang with his hammer on the shoe. It's done. So Makir Patish. Makir Patish is a malacha b'Shabbos. The way it is, it's a very difficult thing. It's very sad. The Makir Patish is identified as a malacha when a person makes something and it is in the middle of production, middle of development, then it's in the middle, it's not a finished product. When he finishes the product, it's called Makir Patish. He's completed the entity. The Makir Patish of the creation of the world is the yesh, the physical entity. This is a statement that the world is complete. From conceptualization, from the divine value, all the way down to a piece of material that exists on its own. This is Makir Patish. All of that was conceptualized originally in the divine thought, because we thought the Makir Patish is not a complete thing yet. Like in Shabbos, it says Makir Patish is the last hit, the last swing that declares that this is a finished product. So that, yes, indeed, the original machshava created all the content, all the richness of the world, b'koyach. Then there was a separate will from Hashem that this b'koyach should be drawn out and developed into a mitzias of world. A mitzias of world means that you can mistake it. You think, what created what? The idea created the mitzias, or the mitzias created the idea. This is what we have in our physical world. That's when it became a real mitzias. Okay. So the rotzen and the idea for the world at the lowest level, the final level, was contained in the idea or reason before the world was created. Okay, let's start again. However, from this idea, it did not come a mitzias or world b'poil. B'poil means in a functional level. The functional means when the world can claim itself, can develop on itself. So this, okay, the line begins with B'Payom right? Yeah, that's what Shoha'atam. Okay, let's go to Shoha'atam. It would not be created if not for the Tzimtzum. Because from Koyach, the Koyach, okay, let's talk about Tzimtzum. The Koyach is a comprehensive sense of what world is. What is world? World, in terms of the comprehensive meaning for world, is not the content of the world. We spoke about, one time we said, a person stands on the ground. All he needs is his $. But if he should perceive that at some point in distance from the place where he's standing, the world ends, he would not be able to stand in the place where he's standing. So that the function of the world itself is really based and is inspired by the fact that there is a divine will that it should be, and that has no limit, there's no end. This is a phenomenal union. If the world were finite, it would not last. The infinite world is not complete, is not a real world. A complete world is when it has its limits. What does this mean? That the finite world is actually carrying the infinite will of the Creator. The finite world is really infinite in its spirit. This is what it means. And in order to bring out the content, the little pieces of the world, you have to be mitzamtzem the infinity concept. So that you are focused on something tangible, even though that itself is also infinite. Because it is held up by the divine spirit of reality. So in order that there will be the next stage of creation, a Metzius of the word Bepeil, it has to be Tzimtzumim. Tzimtzum means that you retract, you take away, or you hide the total will and the spirit behind the world. And all you're left with is something tangible, a worldly union. Not the God union, you completely hide, and you have a worldly union. Worldly union, as we said, worldly appears to be that what is a table? A table is the wood and pieces of wood that we're made together. This is the result of it. This makes it out that table. The whole concept that the spirit that creates a table has been something, has been hidden in order to have a world. All right.
Rob, if I may.
Yes,
So-
you may, sure.
So
I don't even know where we're up to. So
no, so
Well, I don't know.
when we were talking before the big tzimtzum, lamala and lamata, right? In lamata, at the highest level, we have the machshava hakadmon, yeah, the primordial thought of man, right? And now what we're drawing a distinction of that particular level into two aspects. One, the koach aspect, and then after a great tzimtzum, the poem. Do I follow the logic?
Yes.
Okay.
Except that you realize that the koyach is also a poil.
Right. It is right, because it's after the big tzimtzum already.
Yeah.
But now there's a further tzimtzum.
That's exactly what.
Right, there's a further tzimtzum between these two ideas.
That's right. There's
Right.
another level of idea. There's another. That's what it says. Take a look at the line that begins with one idea.
Idea zu.
Idea zu. To bring out the world, the pale. This is from this idea. Look at the end. Zehu. When did this come about? When it entered Hashem's will, Liyos mizeh ha'yizavos. What is that? What's mizeh mean? Everyone knows the location. He is mizeh himself. That from this, koyach should be his house. So this koyach becomes, so to speak, the umbrella of his house.
Right, but you still have you need a tremendous tzimtzum then.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah.
He's his house. The Gam say, are they coming to
Right.
Because you're talking about infinite koyach, and then this, are they coming soon? And the Tanya said, the Alter Rebbe said, it comes from this rotzen, from this idea, but it has to do with tzimtzum. What is a tzimtzum? What is the principle of tzimtzum? Principle of tzimtzum is that you hide away the principal infinity value, the spiritual value of what is happening. In our world, this would mean to make a structure of a table, but not in a home, not in a real environment, just in a storage house. Excuse me. Let's continue. However, was it not that there was a rotzen, the will and the idea of the world, yet before the worlds came into being? Understand what the Rebbe is saying? This thought that there should be a mitzvah world in the literal sense, a world without any koyach, just the mitzvah of the world, this did not come after the koyach was there. This was before the whole mitzvah of the world began. Ukmesha Kos, my pasuk says, Magid Mereishis Acharis. He foretells from the beginning, the Acharis, the end. And from before any beginning, that which has not been made yet. So in this idea, before anything, there was already the knowledge, as I said before, the divine knowledge of world is comprehensive. Comprehensive means to all the way to the point of real world. But behold, when it's harbor b'peil midiyazum. From this idea, they didn't come to be b'poil. B'poil in actual fact, as a mitzvah. So it became b'koyach a world, but it's not b'poil midiyazum. Shezehu, here is a key. Shezehu, this fact that is not yet created b'poil, in the factual and in the functional level of world. From this idea, this is Gamkein, this phenomenon that was created by Koyach but not by Poel, is also Mikoyach HaKoyel Yochel. This itself is a demonstration of the Meibash's Koyach of Koyach, which is Koyel Yochel. Koyel Yochel means that he is all capable. He can make two things that are self-contradictory. The Rebbe explains, which means to say, in other words, it's a miracle that there is a world and the world is not a real world. The shame, which means that just as, shekoi choi hakol yochel, just as his koyach, which is the koyach yochel, no limit, is all capable. Who is expressing the fact that there should be a his a creation, a present from Hashem's knowledge. This is a koyach yochel. The human being does not create by his knowledge. The Rebbe creates by his knowledge. This is koyach. The koyach yochel is expressed in this phenomenon itself, that his knowledge already creates a reality. K'moi kein likewise. Koyach hakoyin yochel. His koyach, which is the koyach hakoyin yochel, also expressing the koyin yochel aspect, who is shagam sheyedeya kol ha'hisavus. That although he knows the entire creation, the entire presence, that existence, yet still, from this knowledge, and he knows the entire hisavus, which he knows it all the way down to the less stage of physicality. From this knowledge will not come to be this house repelled, this house in actual functional level. How can it be? He knows the entire exact house all the way down to the bottommost and the most functional level. And like I said, to the point is that the world means that you can have a couple of planks of wood put together, and that makes it table. And he knows it all the way down to that level. And yet, from this idea does not come his house. And this is representing the koyach hakir yoch. I don't want we should just go in circles. This koyach HaKoyach created the world, his knowledge created the world b'koyach. That makes sense. Now Hashem's knowledge creates the world. Anything that he knows, he just creates. However, in this knowledge, there is a further staging in this knowledge. That there should be, that he knows the world all the way down to a functional level. Functional means that the world can now develop on itself. All that is already in this idea. And yet, that level of idea does not come into fruition from that knowledge.
Why,
So it's
why
a three-step idea.
Why must we say something's lacking, or are we just saying it needs to go to speech? Do we have a sense of why it's not sufficient?
Okay, valid question. Let's first get clear what we're saying.
So it's a three-step idea. In other words, we've been discussing the koach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is an actual thing, right? Because it's
The koyach is also mitzad idea.
That's right. And then the second part, after Great Simpson, then we have the bepoil, the actual physical world. And what the Rebbe is saying is that
world is a separate idea, a separate rots.
that's right. There's an idea to create both the koach and the bepoil.
Way before.
That's right. So this is before primordials, man, so to speak. There's this concept of I want the world, and I know exactly what it's going to look like, and these are the steps, so to speak. From the koach, the poel, right? Great symptom, then the poel mamash.
No, I was like, I know what you were doing. So, you have a question?
No, I'm trying to understand because it seems like what the Rebbe is saying is that we've been discussing these two separate ideas, right? But now he's introducing the concept of, but in order to have these two separate ideas, there's an idea that precedes it, that knows both the koach and the poel and everything in between. It's almost like before the koach.
All right.
Or am I missing this?
You're not missing it. You're just picking up little pieces, but they're discordant.
Okay.
Let us stick to the line the way the Rebbe is presenting it. And the most important principle to which we come now, that all of this is Mitzat Koyach HaKol Yochid, which means it's a divine miracle that there should be a koyach and not a poel. It's not the way it sounds to us. Of course, it would be koyach before the poel. No. Logically, on the contrary, from a worldly perspective, if it's the koyach, it should be the poel. It says no. It's a koyach hakol yochid. And what is a koyach hakol yochid? The Kol Yochid is that he can present the concept of world at various stages. Even though in that presentation there is already everything there. And yet he can present it in stages. It is world in Koyach only. It is world in Poel, but not in Poel Mamash.
So that is lo nitave bepoil miadiazu shows on Kol Yachol.
Yeah, he said that's what he said. This is part of the Kol Yochid.
It would seem the opposite, that from his Yadia everything is fulfilled. Here we're saying that it's...
No, it's not fulfilled. It doesn't go Bepeil Mamash.
But it would seem more miraculous if it was. We're saying the fact that it does not shows in his ability.
Okay, here's where we come to the... Okay, let's go to the line that begins with his habits. No, the line begins with Poyel. At the end of that line, the Kshem Shekoy Choy HaKol Yoch, just as his Koyach, the Koyach which is called HaKol Yoch, which has no limit as to what he can bring about. Who this Koyach Kol Yochel is revealed in the fact that there should be his harvest from his knowledge. There will be his harvest. That's a Koyach Kol Yochel. Knowledge should make his harvest. Just as the Kol Yochel is manifesting the fact that his harvest comes from his knowledge. K'moi Kain likewise. He is where we have Koi Choy HaKol Yoch. This unlimited, this all capable Koyach, who is manifesting the fact Hagam She'yidei Kol HaYis Harvest, that although he knows the entire presence, when we come him, yet still the Tia Mizah his house is pale.